Hello everyone, and welcome to episode 7 of the Library Lights podcast, where today we're talking to Emily Hitchens, who will introduce herself shortly. But just before we get into the conversation with Emily, I'm going to say good afternoon to my co-host, Megan. Hi,
Hello,
Megan.
Veronica. How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. So obviously, I can't believe it's April already of this year, and the fact that we're on 7 episodes of the podcast.
Yeah.
It seems to have kind of flown by. I know that last month we had the Health Scientist Week, didn't we?
We did, yeah, when we met Emily King, one of our cardiologists, who I found it absolutely fascinating to listen to. And I hope some of our listeners have managed to listen to that podcast. And if they haven't, strongly encourage them to do so, because there was just so much to learn about all the different roles played by the healthcare scientists in our trust that I certainly didn't know about all of the roles that they hold. And I think it was a fascinating discussion. What did you think?
I thought so. I thought it was really interesting how many active, pathways into the role there actually were, because I think sometimes it can be quite structured of, you go and get a degree and then you go in, but I like that she was like, you can go in at this level or level 3 or level 7, and it just really makes it accessible to most people. You don't necessarily have to go away and do a degree to then grant access into the door. You can start sort of working, gain experience, and then go in that way, which just makes it a really good all-round career to sort of aim towards, doesn't it?
Absolutely. And then so many pathways that you can follow once you're on that path. So fascinating.
And I think I'm really excited that we've got Emily today, because we met you through another one of our guests, our February guest, Laura James, and she put us in contact with you and said, she's really great, you should have her on the podcast, and here we are. So without further ado, hello, Emily.
Are you all right?
So to sort of start off, would you tell us a little bit about your role as the Dementia and Delirium Training Coordinator, and what your kind of day-to-day looks like across the trust?
Yeah, so I'm the kind of education lead for Musgrove. I sit in Musgrove and I cover the community hospitals this side of the county. So Minehead, Willerton, Bridgewater, Burnham and West Mendip are what I cover. And then Jade is my counterpart, and Jade sits in Yeovil and covers the community hospitals, kind of that side. Depending on what's booked in is kind of shapes our day. So it might be that we're doing work on the wards. So obviously I'll come into Musgrove, definitely have my cup of coffee, can't live without it. And then kind of work out which wards need the support or they've requested extra training. We do support our community hospitals, so it might be that I go and set up there for the day, have a good old chat, see what's going on, see what they need help with. And then we do have our study days as well, so it might be that we're setting up in, for instance, like Bridgewater Exchange, and we hold one of our study days. So we'll be going there, setting up, making sure everything works, and kind of having a good old day, really. Keeps me busy.
Yeah, sounds like it.
Yeah, and I get to chat to people, and I love it because I get to see all kinds of different staff and colleagues.
Seems very varied as well. Like, it's the kind of thing where you might be saying sort of like the same information, but you're saying it to different teams who need different parts of the service that you offer.
Yeah, absolutely. And what I love is, so I started as a HCA, so I've been in the trust 9 years, and I started as a HCA on the bank, found my feet, and kind of gone from there. So it's nice because when I talk to colleagues, I talk to them as a colleague from the ward, not just some person here to train them. So it's really nice. I love it. I love this job.
Yeah, because I think when we had our sort of conversation pre-conference and you were telling me sort of how you sort of went up, it was very much like you sort of helped out at a training session, didn't you? And then you were like, well, this is really interesting. And it sort of spiraled from there.
Yeah, I never thought training would be my thing. As a student myself, I am a nightmare. I fidget. I'm just short attention span. So when I started to actually support with the education, I thought, actually, you know what, this is quite fun. This is a good career path. So
maybe not a good student, but a good trainer.
Terrible student, good trainer.
Should get that embroidered like on the other side of your t-shirt. So obviously talking about training, what kind of training and educational resources are currently available for staff? I know that you sometimes said you do like face-to-face, there's e-learning. I know that there's simulation opportunities to help support people with dementia and delirium.
Yeah, so we've got our Study Day 1 and Study Day 2, and that's bookable on Leap and is open to anybody. Any colleague can come on, and the more varied it is, kind of the more interesting the day is, because then you get to hear it from different sides of experience. So again, that's bookable on Leap. We've got delirium training, which is an hour, so it's like a lunch and learn, kind of eat your sandwich and hopefully come away with a bit of information. We've worked quite closely with the TEL team as well to make some VR 360 experiences, because I can tell you what delirium looks like. I can tell you how our patient might feel, but putting on that headset and seeing it is a completely different board game. So we highly recommend people, if they want to do that, just get in touch, send us an email. But we've also got the Whodunit. So the Whodunit is a crime scene kit. I love a murder mystery. I am determined when I'm old to be very nosy old lady and solve mysteries like Miss Marple. So I've kind of put together this crime kit that looks at delirium, and you've got to identify what caused the delirium in the patient with the witness statements and all the evidence. And so again, that's kind of been rolling out slowly and taken up quite a lot of momentum. So our F1 and F2 medics do that as part of their training as well. So it's really good fun.
That sounds amazing. I would love to come and do that study day. That sounds brilliant.
I will happily go to anybody that wants to give it a go. So
just come to the library.
Yeah, I think we need that.
It is so much fun, and it's different every time because people's clinical reasoning and judgments are different, and people look at different things. So we have within the crime kit is like a meds chart. So as a HA myself, I never read them. So I always go to the paperwork I would use or I would have access to. So when we've got like nurses and a doctor and a HA doing it together, they all pull and look at different things. And it is a fascinating thing to watch. It was really cool.
I bet it's also interesting for them to see the different parts of sort of like the experience and different parts of paperwork, and then realise that actually you need every cog in the vehicle to make it start moving.
Absolutely, yeah. Like we do. It is funny because like some people think, oh no, right, we'll listen here or we'll listen here. But actually, if we listen to everybody, we're going to get that bigger, all-round kind of visual of what's going on. So yeah. It's good fun.
That sounds really good.
That sounds
I just want to book it in a session now. I just want to be like, can you whip it out and let's like actually have a go.
Honestly, just send me an email. I'll get it straight
in.
So obviously moving on to sort of the crux of what you teach. We know that death and delirium can sort of affect people differently depending on their setting. So what are some of the biggest challenges that you think staff, and because obviously Somerset covers acute, community, care homes and mental health, what do you think are some of the biggest challenges that our staff like do face for that?
Some of the biggest things that kind of get raised are when patients are trying to leave, or they're looking for someone who is no longer here, so they're looking for their mum or mum or dad, and they're like, well, what do I say? Because 9 times out of 10 we know mum or dad isn't here anymore, and it often comes up in conversation of what do I do? How do I make someone feel better when I know we're not going to find who they're looking for? So we teach a technique called VERA, not the detective, but validate, emotion, reassure and activity. So it's about realising that actually when we're kids and something doesn't go well, or we're scared or we're frightened, we go to our mum or our dad because they'll give us that reassurance. As we get older, that doesn't change. We still seek them out. If something goes wrong, like if my car starts to go wrong, I ring my dad.
Yeah.
If making a funny noise, help me, like he's going to be able to. But again, it doesn't change as we get older. So when our patients are looking for their mum or their dad, it's because they're scared or they feel unsafe and they need that person in their life that has always made them feel better and secure to come and make them feel better and secure. So something we teach our colleagues is we can be that person. We can step in. We can have that conversation. And if they say, you know, I'm looking for my mum, we can have that conversation. Actually, do you know what? what's your mum called? My mum's called this. I'd be really upset if I couldn't find my mum. Do you want to talk to me about it? Should we get, sometimes it's human connection as well. Sometimes you just need a hug and for someone to go, it's okay. You're safe. And it can be enough sometimes for our patients to be like, oh, okay, you've got me. That's okay. All right, I'm calm. Aggression is something that comes up a lot as well. So when we're scared, we got a couple of responses, that fight, flight, and freeze. And on the whole, we're not angry people. But somebody could push our buttons enough to make us an angry person.
Especially if we are in a situation where we're confused or we don't know where we are.
Absolutely. And, if you've been moved overnight and you have no idea where you are, you wake up the next morning, that can be really disorientating. That can make you feel quite scared and vulnerable. So it's about kind of going, okay, what's going on? Taking that step back and then working out how we can proceed. But that's really hard in the moment. So we try and support colleagues to kind of be able to kind of step back and go, right, let's just take a breath, take a minute, let's go again and go from there, really.
Yeah, I do. It sounds really interesting because I think even as an adult who I studied abroad, I went to Canada, and in my student flat, the roof leaked and it was like 3 a.m. in the morning for my parents. And I still called to being like, I don't know what to do. And they were like, well, have you called the building manager? And I was like, no, but I guess that makes sense. Like 3 o'clock in the morning and they still picked up. So it is that reassurance that you always have that one person that you kind of picture, don't you?
Yeah.
So,
and it is that kind of, they've always been there to do that. So we'll always still look for them to kind of, to provide us with that comfort and that reassurance. So it's about trying to step in a kind of careful way to support them.
Yeah.
But it takes time and it can be a bit of a challenge, but
yeah. I think especially if you then are dealing with the family members who if their child comes in and that's the person who they looked for reassurance, but they're the ones that need the reassurance. I imagine that's quite tricky as well.
Yeah, and we've also had it where a patient is looking, they want their child and they don't recognise the fact that the 50-year-old gentleman that's just come in is their child. Yeah. Well, no, you're not my son, and that's then a real trauma for both the patient and that relative. And it's about supporting them both because dementia and delirium is really, really difficult. It can be a real challenge. So it's about finding those kind of pathways to support and finding the support for both family and patient while they're in our care.
Yeah, there are good days and bad days, aren't there? Like with my French grandfather had dementia, and some days I was his granddaughter, some days I was my mother, some days he called me by his wife's name, so I was all and nothing at the same time.
It is, and it can be really hard. And something we always try and say is, dementia especially is seen really negatively. It's got a really big stigma attached to it. But there are such beautiful moments and the person is still there. You just have to tap in a bit differently and look at all those great little memories that come out or little moments and you think, actually, do you know what? That it's not all doom and gloom and there are some really special moments in there as well.
Yeah, one of them for me personally with my grandfather was we were at a cafe and he hadn't remembered who we were, but he'd come out. He recognised my dad more often than not, but had no idea that I was his granddaughter. And for about 2 minutes, he got clarity and we had a conversation. And then he was like, "This is your favourite cake, isn't it?" And I was like, yeah, you're not wrong. But it was the things that he did remember. He might not have remembered me, but for a tiny second, it was like, "Oh yeah, you like this cake."
And do you know, I love little moments like that. Those just little sparkle bits, the bits that you go, there you are. Yeah, you're there. We've got you. Yeah.
So obviously we often talk about person-centered care in dementia, which I think is so important. But what does that look like from your perspective in practice? And how can staff help create these environments that truly support the dignity, independence and well-being that these patients need?
It's massive. It is huge. If we had a magic wand, we would be using it left, right and centre. We do have the What Matters to Me form, which has just been redone. It's just gone through MRAG. And it's a lot more user-friendly than the old one. The boxes are better and it asks things like occupation because we pick our jobs, we love our jobs. and we're going to do them for a really long time of our life. So it becomes a really big part of who we are. So we know that our farmers and our bakers get up really early in the morning. And if you're at the end of your night shift and you're exhausted, and then you've got Bob getting up at 4 o'clock, don't argue Bob back to bed, because for him, that's the start of his shift. It's the start of his day. That's his routine. And again, we do joke about retired nurses. Retired nurses are really fun patients. I come from a long line of nurses. I feel it's safe to say this, because you get one of two types. They're either really quiet because they don't want to rush you and they don't want to disturb you because you're really busy, or you get the one that's going and answering the call bells and telling you that's not quite right. And that can be challenging. But knowing who someone is and what they did for a living is massive, because it's a huge part of our identity. And by getting to know people, we can start to see who they are. And, quite often you'll start the shift, or colleagues will start the shift and they'll be like, right, we need to get the washes done and the meds. Right, we've done the breakfast. They need to have all of this done before 10 o'clock. Oh, if you don't normally have a wash until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, having someone coming at you with a bowl at 8 a.m. is a bit of a shocker. So actually knowing someone's routine as well, we can kind of, as best we can, adapt to that. So my granddad, he was a funny bean. He would go to bed at around about midnight. He'd get up at about 11 in the morning. So his breakfast would be at 12. That is a nightmare for our routines in hospital. So it's about, okay, what can we do? Can we do breakfast a little bit later for him? We do have access to bread throughout the day. We do have cereal. We can do breakfast a little bit later, although it is out of our normal. And sometimes we have to step out of our normal structured routine to support that person-centered care. Because if somebody doesn't normally have breakfast till 10, we're giving it to them at 8 in the morning. By 10 o'clock, they're going to be really confused as to what time it is and what's going on. So it's kind of helping support their routine so that it keeps them kind of in their normal as well and what they're used to. But just getting to know your patients, really, getting to know who it is in front of us is key.
I just find it really funny when you called your grandfather a silly little bean, because that's what I say to mine.
He really was. He was proper funny. He was proper country, proper Somerset. No one could understand a word he said. I picked up like every third and tried to put the sentence together. But he had his I'm not doing this till this, and I'm not doing this till this. And he came into hospital, and I went to see him at about 10 in the morning, and he was sat in his chair, and he looked a little bit frazzled. I said, "You all right, Granddad?" He went, "It's nearly lunch." I said, "What?" He went, "It's got to be about 3, isn't it? It's the afternoon." I was like, "Granddad, it's 10 o'clock in the morning." "I've been awake too long." I was like, "Oh dear, have a nap, you'll be fine." But he was just so funny. He was such a funny chap.
If someone is used to things a certain way, waking up at a certain time, having a shower at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, if that's their routine, then switching it, if they're already in a position where they are maybe a little bit more vulnerable, a little bit more confused, it just adds another layer to their agitation and just to that disorientation, really, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's really hard because, again, we are so focused on that structure that we always follow on the wards, and we followed it for so long, it seems almost impossible to do something slightly differently. But if we can adapt the way we do it, if we can go, actually, this person would suit having breakfast later or having a wash in the afternoon, just trying to put the person at the centre of what we're doing, put them at the forefront, rather than they're a person in a bed, let's move on to the next person in the bed. It just makes the day so much better as well.
Probably for staff and patients, really, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Like if we're saying to Bob, "Sit down, Bob, sit down," that's going to really annoy Bob, because he might just want to get up and stretch his legs. We might be, without realising it, creating the situation that we're then going to have to deal with in an hour's time and wonder where it's come from. So yeah, the more we can get to know kind of what our patients like, what they like doing, just makes things so much better for them and us.
Yeah. you talking about this reminds me of a lovely anecdote that's in a book that I've mentioned on this podcast several times now, Lucy Pollock's book, the book about getting older. And she describes a healthcare assistant getting an agitated patient a bowl of potatoes and a potato peeler to occupy himself.
Yeah.
That just, reduced his agitation completely, because he'd been an army chef, I think, and just sitting there being able to just peel potatoes was all it took to completely calm him down. And that's exactly what you're talking about, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just finding
them little bits.
things that are important to an individual that just change their experience of their stay in the hospital.
We had a gentleman in ITU, and we didn't do this as a clinical team. This was actually ITU themselves had come up with this by getting to know this patient. Is he kept fiddling. He had a lot of tubes and wires, and he kept fiddling and like ruffling it up. He was a painter and decorator. So when there's wires and things hanging out, they fold them and then put tape.
Yeah.
So what they did was tangle up the ECG monitor and gave it to him with some tape. And he straightened it all out and then folded it and taped it and gave it back. And a little while later, they untaped it, tangled it up and gave it back to him. And it stopped him pulling out his cables and he could focus on that task. He had purpose. It was a beautiful example of, thinking outside that box a little bit.
Yeah. And something as simple as just a wire and tape.
Yeah. And sometimes it can look really odd, like bowl of potatoes. Things we get people to do look like you can't do that. Like, no, we can. If it's meaningful for them and if it's helping them and keeping them calm, absolutely we can. We had a lady when I was a HCA who used to own a pub. So she was forever cleaning down the bar. So all she wanted to do was clean. We were like, okay, here's a packet of Clenels. Off she went. She cleaned everything. It was amazing. We rang the family and explained. And they're like, yeah, it's fine. She likes cleaning. And we were like, can she come home? Can she come to my house? It needs a really good clean. And it kept her focused. And while she was going around, she was talking to other patients as well. And it was just lovely.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's about finding that little thing and rolling with it.
Because I think everyone is the same in the sense that everyone's got something that's important to them, something that they've done their whole life and something that they're looking for. And if it's as simple as a piece of wire, a wipe, a bowl of potatoes that then gives them that support that they need at that time, then that's what they should get.
Absolutely. And with like the What Matters to Me form, getting to know their occupation, getting to know their hobbies and their interests. We've had retired plumbers having a good look at the plumbing, which isn't ideal. So trying to find things that they can access and use so that we don't have estates going, they've pulled it all apart again. But it's just about finding those things that we can do. And if anybody's got a patient, they think, I don't know what we're doing here or anything, they can contact the team because we've got a wealth of stuff in the office that we can bring down as well and support with. So, yeah.
Yeah, my mum's mum died before I was born, but she knitted and she got cancer towards the end of her life, but she couldn't hold like the thinner knitting needles. So my grandfather went and brought her like the chunky needles so that she couldn't really make anything with them. But it was just the holding them and the having them that even outside of dementia and delirium, we offer people those supports. So why should we not be offering it to people that need it through any sort of healthcare crisis?
Absolutely. And it's amazing as well what activity can do. Like even, again, if you haven't got a dementia or delirium, but you're in hospital, it becomes a very boring, very long day where you're not really feeling very good, but also you don't feel good because you're in hospital anyway. So actually just something that you can go, I can do this. That takes my mind off that. Actually, I'll just focus on this and everything else will be shut out. It's perfect. It's what we need to be doing for our patients.
Yeah, okay. So just to segue a little bit, you recently had a conference.
We did. Right.
Tell us about this.
So exciting. So last year I attended the End of Life conference run by the End of Life education team. Within about 10 minutes of sitting there, I thought, I want this. I want to do this for delirium. So I kind of emailed Alison Wootton, our previous deputy chief, and put it out there and said, look, this is my idea. This is what I really want to do. And luckily they backed the idea. So yeah, March the 10th just gone. We had 120, 130 people attend, and it is the first ever delirium conference in the Southwest, which I'm so buzzed about. And it was amazing because we had like Professor Sue Banerjee, Dr. Rachel O'Toole. We had end of life team there to provide support like through the stands and things. We had Alzheimer's Society for kind of support for dementia. We had a very lovely gentleman who was actually a patient at Musgrove from ITU come and do a talk on his experience of how he experienced delirium, what it did, how he felt. And that was incredible because, again, we can talk about it all day long, but hearing it from somebody who's had it is so impactful. We had the VR 360 set up there as well. We had people do the whodunit. It was just a day of non-stop, and I loved every second of it. It took a while to come off cloud nine, I'm not going to lie, like a few days, but it was fantastic, and the feedback from it has been amazing as well. So we're hoping, and it's looking like we might be able to do it again for next year. So
Nice, wonderful.
yeah, that would be really cool if we can, for sure.
Just looking at your smile, it's already going to happen next year. There'll be another one.
Well, we may have booked a venue, so we'll work out the finances later. But yeah, it's really cool. It's really exciting as well because like I live and breathe this, so it's really nice to see other people that live and breathe it coming in and sharing and learning from them, and
people that are maybe just dipping their toes, but then get to experience it in a way that's like just really interesting to hear from professionals, but then also patients. And then you've got the stands to support any sort of like interesting in conversations that they might want to have.
Yeah, and we had we've got some activities facilitators that kind of across the trust. So some of our community facilitators came as well and set up, and it was fantastic. Then they were explaining how they support patients through what they do, which is different to what our clinical colleagues do. And so it was just an epic day. It was so good.
It's so brilliant that your clear passion and enthusiasm for this is just being so widely disseminated, and you're turning something that, as you said right at the start of the conversation, can be seen as a negative into such a positive in Somerset. It's just wonderful.
I found my thing. I found my calling, and I love it. I will talk to anybody that would listen. Lucky for me, everybody on the podcast is listening, so that's quite good. So,
so obviously, you said there might be a future conference. Mm-hmm. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. There'll be a future conference. But are there any other sort of new projects or campaigns that are coming up in 2026 that you're particularly excited about?
There is, yeah. So we have we sent a few emails out to Art for Life and asked about the art space that's in Musgrove, and we've been granted a pop-up art exhibition. So it'll be in the kind of the cabinets within one of the corridors. So it's from January next year until May next year, and it's going to be called A Year in the Making, a Dementia View, and it's looking at the 4 seasons. So we're going to be working with our patient group throughout the seasons to create art that kind of reflects the season that they're in hospital, to again show creativity is still there, even if someone has a dementia or a delirium, that we can tap into those. And being creative is such an expression of who someone is, and so we will be kind of putting that up so people will be able to see the artwork and what our patient group are creating. It's gonna be so exciting. I'm very looking forward to summer. We're getting in air dry clay. Oh, I'm so excited for that. I can create very little, but I will give it my best shot. So it's going to be quite nice to be working with our patients. They can help me.
I think it's great that you're getting such a variety of different art as well, because I think this human creativity is just, I think it's in everyone really, isn't it? It's such a part of humanity that I think it's great that you're expressing that it's not lost. It's just, tucked away somewhere and it just needs coaxing out.
Absolutely, yeah. And so Michelle, our CPM within the teams, are going to do some kind of pastel work, because you can't go wrong with a pastel. You can just blur it a little bit, and again, it's that texture, it's that touching. It's not so much what the creation is at the end.
It's the process.
The process and going through it and making sure that anybody at any level as well is able to take part. So we'll be using the pool activity level and making sure that it doesn't matter what the outcome is. We're sat, we're chatting, we're building, we're creating, we're having fun, and that's the main bit really.
But I think it would be really nice for people to see the outcome and know that process has taken place.
I'm really excited. I was really fortunate that they were willing to accept this kind of pop-up exhibition. So I'm doing proud.
So going back to your conference, we would like to poke your brain a little bit for our research spotlight. So I'm going to pass you over to Veronica.
Yeah, so I'm interested to know whether you had any academic posters on display at your conference.
We did, yeah. So Mario is one of the doctors, one of our medics, has been running a QI project for the 4AT delirium screening tool. So it's kind of like an ongoing thing, and it doesn't always get completed when it should. So Mario had acknowledged this and wanted to work with the teams to get it done. So he has some fantastic information posters from kind of his data and how to present and get it all up. So it's really, really good, because it also helps showcase the stuff that's still going on and kind of what's happening.
Yeah. And did he get plenty of engagement, from people who are attending the conference to, realise what his project's about and how they can participate?
He, bless him, we had to step in for him because he wasn't getting lunch because enough people were like coming to the stand. So Sarah Debard was there from project management, and so she kind of helped step in and kind of talk people through it, and it was really interesting. It was really interesting as well to get people's ideas and opinions on the 4AT, which kind of helped shape where we go next, like what are we doing next. So really interesting. It's really good.
Oh, that's brilliant, because that's such a, that's something that we always try to promote through the library, this idea of, disseminating your research, but networking and interacting with potential new stakeholders, existing stakeholders, and moving it on to the next step. So it sounds like that sort of knowledge mobilization was very much in action at your conference.
Yeah, it was. And then we had a bit of a follow-up email with some new people that hadn't been aware of it before. So they're getting involved as well now. So hopefully the ball is well rolling. So we should be good at some point.
Oh, that's wonderful. It's always lovely to see, because I think there is so much research and so much interest in the work going on at the Trust, and it's not always readily available. And I think, sometimes people might not have time to read a 18-page paper, but a conference poster that they can then look at, it's got the information and it's got the contact details that they can then be like, okay, I would like to speak to you more about this and catch up on, which is something that we can help with at the library, which I will segue into our KLS resource of the month. But as I just said, our resource of the month is us, librarians, funnily enough, for once. But we offer sort of like bespoke training. So whether that is creating a poster, finding evidence, we are happy to make individual sessions or group sessions. So please, there's a form in the bottom. You can email us and we are more than happy to help with that. But now I will pass back over to Veronica for a reading corner, which I'm very excited about.
Okay, so two books that I'm actually just going to highlight, which we have available in Musgrove Library at the moment, and they link very nicely into our conversation with Emily. So we have two books written by Wendy Mitchell, who was a non-clinical leader in the NHS for 20 years before she received a very early onset diagnosis of dementia. And at the time, so I think I'm right in saying this was the sort of 2014, 2015, that sort of time. And I think so. She's written 3 books in total, but we hold 2 of them in the library. So the first one is called now it's just completely gone out of my head. Someone That I Used to Know, and then the second one
is What I Wish People Knew About
What I Wish People Knew About Dementia. And the first one very much details her own experience and actually the very unsympathetic treatment that she received from her own employer, which was an NHS organisation, which hopefully now, with the sort of education that you do, Emily, and that I know is replicated in other places, hopefully employers now take a much more sympathetic view of someone coming along and revealing a diagnosis of dementia. But the first book, it's incredibly powerful in the way that she then dealt with the aftermath of that and basically became an activist for what someone with dementia can do following a diagnosis. And then the second book, she expresses or gives a voice to lots of other dementia, people with dementia, because as she points out, if you've met one person with dementia, you've met one person with dementia, because everybody's experience is different. And so the second book, I think, gives a much broader view of a lot of different experiences. But they're both fantastic books and really help you empathise with, understand the challenges that are faced, and just really help educate us all. I think she did she's sadly deceased now, but I think she did a wonderful service in writing those books. So I highly recommend them.
They are, the first one especially, I found painfully beautiful. Like, it was, this has gone wrong, how am I fixing it? Why don't I know this anymore? Why is this missing? And it just gives you that completely different perspective. It really changed the way I approach certain parts of dementia as well. Like, even being in this job, that book, everybody needs to read it.
Yeah.
They really do.
Yeah, I agree.
I like the smile as soon as Veronica said the author, and you were like, "Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I've read those. Highly recommend."
She ran a podcast as well, and a blog, like a blog or a blog, and that was really interesting. And her daughters released her final one after she died.
Yeah,
it was it's quite something. It was quite something to read.
Yeah.
Well, that I think about sums up our lovely conversation about dementia and delirium. But it's been lovely to have you on. Thank you very much for agreeing to come on our podcast.
Oh, I have loved this. I'm not going to lie. This has been brilliant. I was really, really nervous before, but no, this has been really cool. Everybody should do this. This is so much fun.
And on that note, if any of our listeners are interested in coming on, please just give us an email. We're always looking for new staff to talk to. And as you can see, it obviously goes well.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for listening, and we will see you next month.
Yeah, see you next time.